Hey guys, welcome. For today's class, if you have a couple blocks, just have those nearby. A water bottle, a couple books might work as well too, and a blanket might be nice for the end of class, or a throw pillow works well too. And we're going to get started right away in child's pose. And so to start with your knees nice and wide, your big toes together to touch, and settle your hips back to your heels. If you want a little bit more support, you could slide blanket or pillow behind your knees. Sometimes that's nice if knees don't love this deeper flexion. And then as you settle in, stay active through your arms. We're gonna do this a couple times. Just crawl your hands forward and then press your hands down and forward, traction your hips back. And then do that a couple times. Just crawl your hands forward. It might even feel like your ribs are sliding forward along your thighs. And then settle your hips down and back. Maybe you can get one more as you just start to eke out all that length in your side bodies. And then settle your hips down and back. Let your forehead rest to your mat or possibly to a block. You want a little bit more height there. And then just start to feel into that space along your side bodies. You can even start to bring breath there. With the knees nice and wide, you might feel that little bit of resistance with your inhale and then that softening with your exhale. And just let your attention start to settle to your breath there. We're going to work a bunch into our side bodies for practice today. So much of what we do tends to be pretty front to back, whether we're like moving, walking, hiking, biking, or stretching. We think a lot about quads and hamstrings. But the space of our side body really connects front to back. And sometimes when that bigger stuff, like if we're having trouble releasing through hamstrings or the back of the glutes, sometimes it's the subtler points that make the connection. And as we work to open up some space here today, just invite you to notice how that feels, how that might shift kind of those bigger places that we tend to focus on. And then from here, keep your hips low, walk your hands over to your right. You can keep hands shoulder width apart. You can stack your left hand on top of your right, but just let your left hip settle back and roll your left ribs down towards your thigh. And so one thing you might notice as we work into the side bodies today is that one of the big compensations that our bodies do in the side body is that when things are a little bit tighter or there's restrictions, you might notice your body going to twist instead of getting that length all along the lateral side. And so we'll find some ways to take the twist out so that we can really focus on creating more space all along that side body. And come on back to center. Take a breath at center. Crawl hands forward. Keep your hands and arms active here. And then over to your left. Once again, hands shoulder width. Stack left hand on top of, or right hand on top of left if that feels good. And then anchor back through your right hip. Roll your right ribs down towards your thigh. And just that little adjustment, take out the twist and see if it gives you a little more space. We'll focus a fair amount on that area between the hip and the armpit. Might get a little into the side of the hip and leg as well, but a lot of that big space that we're going to work on is through there. And so just take a couple more breaths into that right side body. And then with your inhale, come on back to center. Stay for your exhale. The next inhale, slide forward to tabletop. Just take a moment as always, set up that foundation, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, spread wide through your fingers, and take your hands wide enough apart, side to side on your mat, so it feels like there's a lot of space for your collarbone. Sometimes they come really narrow, and then we don't have room to move through there. And then to start to move through a few nice slow rounds of cat-cow. So you inhale, arch your back, lift your chin up, and then as you exhale, round through your back, draw your chin towards your chest, and press your hands down into your mat. Just use these first few moments here to link the breath and the body together and start to set that rhythm, that cadence for your practice. And while we'll focus a lot on side body, we'll try and get a little bit of everything in so it doesn't feel just isolated to that. And also just working up towards a couple poses that we'll get to at the end of practice. So prepping the whole body for that. And finish up where you're at. And then after that next round, come on back to center. I'll just turn to the side where you guys can see a little better. Step your left foot out to the side. And see if you can get the whole sole of your foot down. And then you're going to line up your foot and your knee. And from there, walk yourself back, come to stand up, and you bring your hands to your hips. And then really press down through the outer edge of your foot. Lift up a little through the inner arch. So it takes a little pressure off the inner knee. With your inhale, reach both arms up. And then exhale, side bend to your left. Gate pose, Parigasana. Just stay light through your left hand so it starts to be the strength of the core that turns on to support and not just bringing weight to your hand. Reach your top arm up and over. And then notice here if the left shoulder wants to dip back, there's that twist as the compensation. And just nudge your left shoulder forward until it feels like your shoulders are somewhat square, moving in that direction. And keep that inhale, come on back to center. And then exhale over to your right. Bring your right hand down. I might even need to walk my back foot in just a little bit. And then just walk your hand forward enough so that it's in an angle out from your shoulder. Maybe just nicer for your wrists. And then you reach your top arm up and over. Stay really anchored down through the outer edge of your back foot. And roll your right ribs down towards your mat. And take a couple full breaths all along, right? So just start to notice where are the places where you might feel a little bit of restriction. Things are a little bit tighter, or there's some sensation. And just start to bring awareness along the side body. And come on back up to center. Inhale. Hands down to your mat. Exhale. And with your inhale, reach your right arm up. With your exhale, twist. Slide your right arm behind your left. And then come to rest down on the side of your head. It always feels like it's a little bit further away when I do this variation with the leg out to the side. So if you want a block or blanket or pillow under your head for a little more height, then do that. But keep that engagement of the left foot, outer edge pressing down, inner edge lifting up. And so we're just not collapsing weight, especially onto the inner knee. And then you can keep your left hand there, where you can reach up, or maybe around, only if it feels like that doesn't get too tippy for your balance. You can give yourself a little bit more support as you press down through the outer edge of your right arm, right hand. And with your next inhale, unwind, come on back to center. Bring your knee back in line, tabletop. And just give yourself one round of cat-cow in between. And then we'll do that second side. So step your right foot out to the side. Turn your toes forward so they're facing the same direction as your knee. And then work towards the whole sole of your foot down. And walk your hands back. Come all the way up to standing on your knee. And press outer edge of the foot down, lift up through the inner arch. And then reach both arms up. Take a breath in. And exhale, side bend to your right. And stay light through your right hand. And reach up and over through your left arm. Okay, just notice where your left shoulder is. Did it tuck back? Right, twist to compensate. Can you roll the ribs and shoulder forward just a little bit, just till they feel like they're square? So that we're really focusing that attention along the side seam of your body. And come on back up, inhale. And then over to your left, exhale. Walk your hand forward a little bit. If you need to walk your right foot in, that felt like a little long angle for me, so I'm just going to bring it in a little closer. And then top arm up and over. Roll your left ribs down, right ribs up. Anchor down through your back foot and reach out through your fingertips. Side to side might feel different, just like hips, shoulders. This is the hinge point between the two. And so where we have imbalances in those bigger, more focused areas that we do sometimes, it might be reflected here. Good. Come all the way up. Inhale. Hands down to your mat. Exhale. And keep that leg extended out to the side. Inhale, reach your left arm up. And then exhale, twist. And slide your left arm behind your right. Bring the side of your head down or to some support. And I should have said this on the first side. This is a little funky variation. So if it's not feeling like the right place for you today, come back to this from tabletop, regular tabletop with both knees down to your mat. We'll do a couple poses today. They're a little bit different variation. So listen, always listen to your body. Do what feels good. I often offer variations. Right? Take what you need, let the rest go. Good. Come on back to center. Plant your hands and then bring both knees back, tabletop. Good. Take one more round of cat-cow. Just get a little movement back in through your spine. And then walk your hands forward a little bit. Stretch up and back, down dog. Good. And then here, really traction your hands down and forward. Send your hips up high behind you. We do this to lengthen the spine, but you might notice the byproduct of that is you're going to get a little longer through your side bodies as well. You stretch your hips up and back, and we keep doing that. We get more length all the way from armpit to hip. Next, inhale, lift to your toes, bend your knees, and then walk your feet forward to your hands. Come to the front of your mat. Good. Anchor down through your feet. Inhale, lift and lengthen halfway. Start to tone your belly, hug your shoulder blades back, and lengthen out through your spine. And then exhale, fold all the way in. Inhale, sweep your arms around and out. Come all the way up. Exhale, hands together at your heart. Good. Sweep up, inhale. Bend your knees, sit back, chair pose, exhale. Good. Settle weight back to your heels. Stay lifted through your chest. Take a breath in. And then exhale, twist, right arm back, left arm forward. Right, your left knee might slide a little bit forward with you. That's fine, especially if it relieves some pressure in your low back. But squeeze your legs into center, hug your shoulder blades back, and then just reach out a little bit more through your right arm. Let that guide you into the twist. And come all the way up, inhale, fold forward, exhale. Lift halfway, take a breath in. Just match your movement, your breath. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands, step back, plank. Good. Inhale here. Exhale, bent knees or straight legs, lower all the way down. And then anchor down through the tops of your feet. Float up your head, chest, shoulders, cobra pose. Right. Squeeze your thumbs in towards your ribs, so that movement without movement. And then heels of your hands back. Just notice what that does for inner arms, shoulders. Next, exhale, lower all the way down. Stretch back, down dog. And take a full round of breath in, down dog. Inhale, lift to your toes. Bend your knees, look between your hands, walk, step, or hop forward. Lift halfway, take a breath in. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, bend your knees, sit back, chair pose, come right to the second side. And just settle the weight back to your heels here. Sit back enough so that when you peek down over your knees, you can start to see your toes. And then say, lift it up through your chest. Take a full breath in. And exhale, twist, left arm back, right arm forward. Good. Strong legs. Hug shoulder blades back. And then keep that as you reach out through your left fingertips, Let that roll your ribs into the twist. And come on back to center, stand all the way up. Inhale, fold forward, exhale. And halfway lift, take a breath in, tone belly, open chest, lengthen spine. Exhale, fold, hands to your mat, step back, plank. Inhale in high plank, stay lifted through your belly. And then exhale, come all the way down, bent knees or straight legs. Tops of your feet down again, and really press through the tops of your feet, strong legs. Inhale, lift up, head, chest, shoulders. Right, squeeze thumbs towards your ribs, and then traction the heels of your hands back. Stay lifted through your belly to support your back bend. And then exhale, lower all the way down. Plant your hands, stretch back, down dog. Good, full breath in, full breath out. Inhale, reach your right leg up and back. Exhale, step it all the way through. Bring your left knee down to your mat. And inhale, bring both arms up overhead, Anjaneya. And for this variation, keep your hips back a little more. Instead of letting it come all the way forward, which sometimes feels really good, we're just going to focus a little more on the side body here. So keeping your hips stacked more over your left knee. And take a hold of your your left wrist with your right hand. And really reach first, find that length. Sometimes it almost feels like a little shimmy along the side bodies from hips to armpits. Squeeze your upper arms in by your ears and then side bend over to your right. And so what I felt happen in my body is the right shoulder just dipped back. There's that compensation and twist. And just nudge it forward a little bit till it feels like shoulders are square. That gives me a little bit more sensation all along the left side body. And then lift your chest up a little. Take your gaze forward, just so your chin's not in your chest. And just depending on shoulders, you might be able to take your arms back just a little bit. So it just creates a little more space. And then we get that big long line to open up along the left side. And you may feel a little bit more under the shoulder blade. You might feel it more on the crest of the hip. Just notice. And come on back to center. Inhale, release. Bring hands to your heart. Take a breath in. And then exhale, twist, left elbow across to the right. Good. Press your palms together. Keep your inner legs strong. And then lengthen out through the top of your head. Right, and notice my hips came forward a little bit as I came into the twist. That's fine. It was more that upright part to keep the length in the side body instead of letting the hips come forward from there. So just trying to isolate. One's not right or wrong, just different variations to affect different things. And come on back to center. Inhale, hands down to your mat. Exhale, step back, down dog. And second side, left leg up, inhale. Step through, exhale. Right knee down. Inhale, both arms up. We're going to do the same, and we're going to keep this variation today that the hips stay back a little bit, so stacked over your right knee instead of kind of like a regular Anjaneya where we bring them forward. And this time, take a hold of your right wrist with your left hand. Shimmy that length all along your side bodies. And then squeeze your upper arms in by your ears. Sometimes they get a little lazy as we take the side bend. And then start to side bend over to your left. See where your left shoulder went. Did it duck back a little bit? You need to nudge it forward. And then just lift your chest a little. Take your gaze forward so it's out of your chest. Your chin's out of your chest. Maybe the upper arms start to come back a little. That's just going to depend on shoulder mobility today. And keep a little inner leg strength here so you feel that support. Couple breaths all the way into that nice long line on the side body. Right, really, we're also getting to so much stuff on the underside of the shoulder blade and some of the muscles in the top of the hip and low back that really are these big connection points between the two more obvious points that we work so often, hips and shoulders. And come on back to center. Inhale, hands to heart. Take a breath in. And then exhale, twist. Right elbow over to your left. Maybe the hips come forward a little bit now here, that's fine. But keep inner leg strong, long spine. And then roll your right ribs down, left ribs up. Right. We often go to where we feel the pose. Makes sense. But that's not always where it's coming from, right? Where the origination is, or where some of the effects have traveled to. So really trying to get all those points along the body to stay open, working together well. And come on back to center. Inhale, hands down to your mat, lift your back knee, step back, down dog. And then take a little bit shorter down dog. So step in about a footprint. Take your feet out wide towards the outer edges of your mat. And then root down into your right hand. Bring your left hand across to your right leg. Right, so yes, we get the twist here, but focus on the side body first. So really press your right hand down and forward. See what that does. And then stretch your right hip back. You get a little more space along the side body again. Then you can move into the twist by looking out underneath your arm. Keep rooting your heels back. Mine touch, but a lot of ours don't. You can even keep a bend in your knees or shorten the stance a little bit more if that works better for your body. And unwind, come back to center, inhale. And then over to your left, exhale. So before you really move into the depth of the twist, find the length first. Press your left hand down and then traction it forward, like you're pressing your mat all the way forward. And at the same time, send your left hip back. Okay, once you get all that space, then start to let your body move into the twist from there. You might even start to notice some patterns, places where you have a little less range of motion in hips or shoulders. You might get a little bit more sensation on the side body there, or feel less range of motion there as well. And just start to explore those connection points between the two. And come on back to center. Inhale, lift to your toes, bend your knees, exhale, and then walk or step forward to the front of your mat. Lift halfway, inhale. Fold, exhale. Your inhale, come all the way up to standing. Exhale, hands together at your heart. Take a breath. Sweep up, inhale. Fold forward, exhale. Halfway lift, take a breath in. Get that length along your spine, but also along your side bodies. And exhale, fold. Step your right foot back. Turn and plant your right heel. Inhale, come all the way up, warrior two. And then exhale, eagle arms, left arm under your right. So you can do shoulders or palms together. And then hug your heels in. Bend into your front knee. And then start to bring a little more strength to your outer left hip. We're going to use this later as we work towards some other standing poses. Think about wrapping the sitting bone, really scooping it under, and feel that outer hip stabilize and strengthen there. And then you can lift your elbows up a little bit, point your fingertips away. Yes, not as much side body here, but just getting a little more of that full range of motion and prepping for some more standing poses down the way. Inhale, unwind. Exhale, circle your hands down to the mat, step all the way forward. And then just switch sides. Step your left foot back. Turn and plant your left heel. Come on up, warrior two, second side. As you exhale, right arm underneath left, shoulders or hands. And just find that stability as you squeeze heels together. Keep that as you anchor down from your hips to your feet and lift your elbows up a little bit. And then again, strong through your outer right hip, squeeze in and under. Especially if it feels like the knee wants to fall in. Right? Can you give a little bit more stability support from the outer hip? And next, inhale, unwind. Exhale, circle your hands down to your mat. Step all the way forward to the front of your mat. Bring your hands to your hips, root down through your feet. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, bring your hands together at your heart. Take a breath. And then if you have blocks, grab them, set them up at the front of the mat. That's just might be where you want them. And start again in standing. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Lift halfway, take a breath in. And then this time, stay here. Walk your hands forward until they're right underneath your shoulders, and that might be to your blocks. If you don't need the blocks, you want to ditch them, send them off to the side, great. And then go ahead, start with your feet together. Send your weight to your left foot, reach your right leg up, standing splits. And then just keep your spine long and forward for this variation. Flex your right foot. Roll your inner right thigh up towards the ceiling. Good. And then as you stretch your spine, lengthen the top of your head forward so you can get a little bit more length through your side bodies. Okay, keep that. Bend your knee. So you're going to bring your upper inner thigh and your knee together, but with your back leg bent. So you're in this, I don't know, flamingo shape here. And then just really root down from your left hip to your left foot. Okay, with your inhale, open your right knee out to the side, just like a half butterfly. And exhale, close together. Just move with your breath. Inhale out to the side. You don't have to lift high. You'll feel it turn on. Exhale, close back together. So a little bit of that outer hip strength like we were just doing in Warrior Two. Inhale. Exhale. Take one more. And when you come back to center, take a little bend into your left knee. Root down through your left foot. With your inhale, you're going to come all the way up to standing. Nice big transition. Bring your right knee up towards your chest. And then bend your left knee. Stack ankle to knee, sit back. Bring your hands to your heart. Flex your right foot. And sit low enough into your left knee that you just, get a little strength sensation to turn on, but you're not forcing. And take a full breath in. And with your exhale, you're going to fold forward again. Bring your hands to your mat or to blocks. If it feels like the right knee is just starting to drop down, resist a little from the underside of your right knee, lift up, settle your hips back. Yes, just a little interlude again from side body work. Always can use a little hip strength, a little hip opening. Okay, take your right hand to your foot, unwind, bring both feet to your mat, and then just take a little pedal, bend one knee and then the other, a little release through the outer hip. And then start again with both feet together. This time bring your weight to your right foot. Right, hands are still to your mat or to blocks in front of you, and then sweep your left leg up. Flex your foot. Roll your inner thigh up. And then lengthen from your back heel all the way out through the crown of your head. And see if you can keep your side bodies long without, here sometimes is the trick, without just crunching your shoulders up towards your ears. How do you create that space? And then bend your left knee, flamingo, so that knees and inner thigh together, but your lower leg, your shin is parallel to your mat. With your inhale, lift your knee out to the side. Exhale, close back together. And just follow your breath. And see if you can keep the right leg fairly stable. Take two more. So the hip's not just winging way out to the side. Right? It's working for sure, but also feels supportive. And when you bring your knees back towards one another, take a little bend into the right knee just to help with the transition. And then root down. Inhale, come all the way up. Bring your knee up. Balance along the way. And then bend your right knee, ankle to knee, sit back. Bring hands together at your heart. right, just take a moment here, a breath or two, settle in to the bend of the knee, strong through your left foot. And even here, just to stay lifted through the outer left knee so it doesn't start to tilt off to the side. Then you can start to fold forward, hands to blocks or hands to mat. Take a couple breaths. And you can adjust a little deeper bend in the right knee or leg a little bit straighter. Let's find the right place for you. And bring your left hand to your left foot. Unwind, bring both feet down to your mat. And set your blocks off to the side. And then plant your hands, step back, high plank. Take a full breath in. And with your exhale, forearm plank. So bring your elbows where your hands were. Make your arms parallel to one another. You can always bring knees down here for a little bit more support. See if you can find the place where your hips and your shoulders are in line. Sometimes it's hard to see and see where you can feel. And stay toned through your belly. Take a breath in. And then exhale, bring your hips all the way down to your mat. Okay, from here, you're gonna roll up onto your left side. I'm gonna give you a couple options here because sometimes it just depends on wrists. So you can stay on forearm here. I do like to walk the forearm a little bit further forward, just so the elbow's out in front of the shoulder. Do whatever's comfortable with your legs. You can keep them straight or have a little bend in it. So our goal here is this whole line of the side body again. So you might stay here on your forearm, or you might prop yourself up onto your hand. This sometimes gives you a little bit more sensation with gravity, but if your wrists aren't feeling great, it might not feel lovely on that. So try the one with forearms. And then strengthen through your arm, but let your ribs sink and settle so that there's support here through the upper body, but a lot of softening through the ribs and that side body. And just notice where you feel it most here. Is it maybe up towards the shoulder, more down towards the hip? Sometimes we just have to start to explore these subtler connection points between the two. Right? We're trying to solve these puzzles that go on in our body. Sometimes if we have kind of a chronic ache, right, issues with a hip or a shoulder or a low back, that we need to look beyond where that one point is. To look to the connection points between all of them and see how if we weave that in, how can it help to solve maybe what's happening. And come all the way back down to your forearms. And then switch sides, right? So roll up onto your right forearm. Same thing, you can walk the elbow just away from your hip a little bit more, so forward. Knees bent, legs straight, or you can come all the way up onto your hand. It might be different side to side depending on what's going on in your wrists. And then press your hand or your forearm down into your mat so there's support, but then soften. Almost like you're just letting the rib cage sink down towards your mat. And just give yourself a couple breaths. Our bodies are so connected, which is wonderful when they all work well together. Right? It's fairly phenomenal most days. But we've noticed this probably like when one thing starts to get a little achy and then it transfers to somewhere else in the body, that it's connected in that way too. Right? When one thing starts to get a little tight or off or shifted, the things that work with it are going to shift too. And so to find different levels to work on to find the place where our body can unwind all together. And come all the way back down. Come up onto your forearms again and just reorganize so that your elbows are right under your shoulders, your hands are parallel. Okay, then tuck your toes under, press down into your forearms. With your inhale, lift your hips up, forearm plank. And again, working towards hips and shoulders in the same line or knees down to your mat for support. And then come all the way up onto your palms, high plank. And exhale, come back down dog. And take a full round of breath. Okay, right leg up, inhale. And step through, exhale. Left knee down to your mat. Inhale, come all the way up, Anjaneyas. And same thing, just slide the hips back so that hips are stacked instead of taking that big, right, heavy lean forward. And just one's not better or worse, just different effect right now. Okay, and then bring your right hand to your hip. Stay lifted with your left arm. And inhale, reach your left arm up, and then reach it up and over. Take the side body stretch again. See where right shoulder is. You need to nudge that forward. And then keep chest lifted, chin up. Right, so I think of all those compensations that happen in the twist, but I find when we do this overhead, we kind of tend to hunch forward in the front body. Okay, from here, we're going to take it into the twist, but take a long reach. So reach your arm all the way across at the diagonal. So you're reaching like in front of your right knee. Then with that side body length, find your twist. Maybe you have a little bit more space now than we did before. Maybe. And then take hands to heart. Okay, you can stay here. Great first option. Maybe great only lasting option. Or you can start to unwind. We should have set this up. You might want to block. And start to nestle the back of your left arm down the side of your right leg. Or maybe your hand comes to your mat or to a block. And then you can reach your right arm up. Right? And it's amazing how a little more space in the side body can sometimes give us more space in the twist. Okay, other option here, you can keep the back knee down or lift your back leg up. Keep inner leg strong. Press the back thigh up and roll your right ribs up. Make sure there's enough room for breath. Okay, unwind, inhale, plant your hands, step back, down dog. Give yourself a nice full breath. Might be good after that deeper twist. And then we'll switch sides. So left leg up, inhale. Step all the way through, exhale. Start with your back knee down and then bring both arms up. Okay, keep the hips stacked to start with, so just backing out a little bit. Bring left hand to your hip. Shimmy, stretch your right arm up. Find all that side body length. Okay, then start to reach. You're going to come across at a diagonal. So you're using that side body length to create space for the twist, to set that up. And once you have all that length, bring your elbow to your thigh, hands to prayer. You might think, Amy, that's great. I am stopping right here. And you're getting really the same shape of the pose, just different variations that will work from there, but you might choose to stay right here. Okay. Or you can start to work your right arm, back of your arm down your leg, and then bring your hand down to mat or to a block. Okay, reach your left arm up. Keep your inner leg strong. And then you'll stay with back knee down or float the back leg. Hug your legs in. And then strong outer hip, right? This is what we were working that strength for before. Curl it in and under and reach arms up, right? So we did a little shoulder and hip stuff. Combine those two words to prepare us here and then the next variation. Good. Unwind, plant your hands, step back, down dog. And then come all the way down to child's pose. Right, big toes together, knees out wide. Take a couple breaths. Just for a moment, let your arms relax. They've done a lot of work. And when you're ready, down dog. Okay, last one. Inhale, right leg up and back. Exhale, step through. And then turn your back heel down just like you're coming into warrior two. We're going to take this a little different variation. You can have your block nearby as well again here. So instead of coming up to warrior two, come straight up the front, like warrior one. Your feet might not be as wide. You might have a little bit longer stance front to back. So a teacher called this, I think one time, like warrior 1.5. We're right in between the two. Okay, so we're going to take that same twist. We're going to move this into a revolve side angle with the back heel down or not. You might choose to say, that's great, Amy, for you, but I'm going to lift the back heel up. That's going to give you a little bit more space. So listen to what your body says. Okay, both arms up, inhale. Right hand to your hip. Right, strengthen your legs. Squeeze your heels in. Get strong through your outer right hip. And then side bend to your right. Ooh, maybe lots more space now than we had at the start. Okay, from here, keep the side bend, hinge forward at the diagonal, reach, 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 left arm forward and across. Then bring your elbow to your thigh. And this is where you might choose to say, my calf loves this or doesn't. And you can always pop the back heel up. Come back to that variation that we were in. Again, repetition's always lovely. Okay, stay here, or same thing, start to nestle your arm down your leg, and your hand's going to either go to your mat or to a block for support. Right, find the right place for you today. Strong through your outer right hip, curl under, and then maybe reach your right arm up. Anchor down through your back heel, lengthen out through the top of your head, and root all the way down into your feet as you spread out wide through your arms. Make sure you have enough room for breath. Good. Inhale, unwind. Exhale, step all the way back, down dog. Take a breath. Okay, last side. Left leg up, inhale. Step through, exhale. And turn and plant your back heel. You're just coming into warrior two, but sweep your arms straight forward and up. Okay, settle into your front knee. Squeeze your heels in. And even here, start to wrap the left sitting bone in and under. Right, so we feel that sensation here before it's starting to bear a little bit more weight. With your left hand to your hip, reach your right arm up and over. Lots of side body space. And then hinge all the way forward and across to the diagonal. Stay anchored through your back heel. And then bring your elbow, right elbow to your thigh. Okay, stage one. Well, really stage one is here, crescent with the back heel lifted. Right, or return it down, revolve side angle. Okay, next stage, if you choose to go, start to nestle the arm down and then hand to mat or hand to block. And I can feel my right hip starting to sway out to the side. Nope, left hip. So curl in and under and then root down through your back heel. And then maybe top arm up. Good, legs strong. Body long. Think about that side body that gave us all the room for the rotation in between hips and shoulders. Inhale, unwind. Exhale, plant your hands. Step back, down dog. Take a full breath in. With your exhale, bring your knees down to your mat, tabletop. Nice work. And take a couple of seated forward folds. If you want to grab a blanket, a pillow, something to sit up on, lovely. Okay, those hips just did a lot of work. Let's give them a little love. So start either shin in front of shin. You can go left shin in front to start, right? Or Agni Stambhasana, fire log pose. shin on top of shin. There's another great place for a block or a pillow. I love props for a little bit more support. Okay, and then start with your hands by your hips. Root through your seat. Lengthen all along your spine and your side bodies. Keep that, and you might stay right here, upright if that's good, or walk your hands forward. That might be a little bit, that might be chest down towards your legs. Find your stopping point. And then take a few fuller breaths. And keep your feet flexed and pressing your feet down and your outer shin down. When the legs are engaged and supported, you just start to move into the stretch. You might even be able to let your breath start to slow down. Sometimes as much as we work to get some fuller breaths in those deeper twists, there's just not as much room. And come all the way back up. Unwind your legs. Switch sides. So either right shin in front, Sukhasana, or right shin on top. Feet flexed, maybe some support under your right knee. And start with your hands by your sides. Lengthen first. Flex feet. And then either stay right here or start to fold forward. And just feel where that hinge point is at your hips. Stay long from in your upper body from there and rooted through your lower body. And full breaths. And how's that space in your side body? Hopefully a little bit more now. Maybe start to shift anything in hips and shoulders, in those areas of the body that call to us sometimes a little bit louder. I don't often hear people say, like, my side body hurts. I mean, it happens, but it's not the common one, right? But it's the connection point. And often when we're trying to solve problems, we have to look a little bit deeper for those connection points, especially if what we're doing isn't quite working, right? Or not giving us the results that we want. This is true in our bodies, but also off our mat as well. Where are the connection points that aren't always as obvious? It keeps everything working together. And come all the way back up. Unwind your legs. Come down onto your back. Grab one of your blocks. If you don't have a block, a pillow or two works really well here too. I'm just going to set up for a supported bridge. Whatever height works best. Just make sure that you nestle the block underneath the crest of your hip, right, that top of the hip bone, but above your tailbone. So it's really right up underneath the sacrum. Sometimes you have to wiggle around and wedge it in there. And then just let your arms come wherever they're comfortable. So a couple choices, you can stay right like this, or you can stretch both legs out long. That might feel great. That might bring up a little too much intensity. Play, see what the right place is. We did a lot with the lunge and the twist that was a fair amount of compression on the front of the hip. So just a nice counter pose to open things up. When you settle in here, just let your eyes close. And a little bit more room for breath now along the front body. And just enjoy a few full breaths here. I think this side body work can be especially beneficial for getting into the connective tissue to the fascia. like these long sheets that really connect one more major, quote unquote, body part to another. And when those get bound up, we can draw a hip up or down, or with the shoulder forward or back. As we unwind there, what else can we create a little more space for? And walk your feet in. Place the soles of your feet to your mat. Lift your hips. Slide your block out. And as you lower your hips down, take your feet out wide. Let your knees rest together, constructive rest pose. And just give yourself a few breaths for your low back to settle. And then just one at a time, stretch your legs out long. If you want support under your knees, grab that. And just let your body really take up some space here. Your arms might come a little wider, your legs might come a little wider, like a starfish. So you can feel where you've created that space within your body. And we know that that's just the first layer. The space in our body means more space for our breath. It hopefully means more ease with our movement. And we start to release the places that are bound up. We also start to release what's holding there in mind and body. And we can let that go. Whether it's at a really conscious level or less so. Those pieces are always happening within the practice. Creating that domino effect of release at all different layers throughout the practice. And as you enjoy these last few moments of rest, let that settle in. If you have longer to stay and you want to do that, please do. If you're ready to come out, as you inhale, take a full stretch. Reach your arms up overhead, lengthen out through your legs. And then draw your knees towards your chest, roll to your side. Make your way all the way up to sitting. Bring your hands together at your heart. Sit tall, enjoy all that space, all the length, and then bow your head to your heart. Thank you so much for sharing the practice. Namaste.